A lot of constitutional questions regarding the 2020 election. So if this video turns off on YouTube halfway through, I don't know. I guess I couldn't help it. But I have to read the news. This is happening right now. 17 states are joining with Texas to sue Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania over their election irregularities. What states are they? Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, North Dakota, Oklahoma, South Carolina, South Dakota, sweet old Tennessee, my new home state, Utah, and West Virginia. And President Trump, by the way, is signing on here as a candidate who believes his rights were infringed by election irregularities. And we say irregularities, we're talking about a whole wide range of activities, many of which were caught on camera. So the big tech oligarchs can't deny that they have. They can deny that they happened, but it's preposterous. They're asking us to believe them over our own lying eyes. And in the case of Pennsylvania, we're talking about a flagrant violation of the state constitution by permitting the use of widespread mail-in ballots. Ken Paxton, who's the Attorney General in Texas, was explaining the premise behind this lawsuit.
It's really important to my state that my voters be represented. And if other states don't follow the Constitution, and if their state legislature isn't responsible for overseeing their elections, and we have other people who are not under the Constitution supposed to be doing this, it affects my state. And so our job is to make sure that the Constitution's followed and that every vote counts. And in this case, I'm not sure that every vote was counted not in the right way. It is the responsibility of state legislatures, per the Constitution, to set the rules for election of electors. And in this case, those were overridden in the 4 states we're talking about, were overridden by other officials, whether they were judges or other governmental officials. And that's not the way our Constitution works. And that's the challenge we have in front of the court. Can this be overridden by people who are not responsible under the Constitution for doing this?
I totally agree with everything that Ken Paxton just said. He's a very strong Attorney General, by the way, and presumably has a good political career ahead of him. Totally agree with that. I also agree with a point that was made by Arthur Bloom today. Arthur Bloom is a conservative writer and editor who pointed out that Democrats, even in their name, take ownership of this word democracy. And they say that any attempts to change the outcome of the certification is undermining democracy. And if you go to the state legislatures to override the unconstitutional decisions of, say, judges or of election officials, that's somehow undermining democracy, because democracy is only what Democrats say it is. Give me a break. Give me a break. I'm not saying that this is an ideal way to conduct an election. I'm not saying that this wasn't a complete debacle. I think this election was a debacle because of corrupt election officials and because of misguided state legislatures and because of partisan state Supreme Courts. However, going to the state legislatures and allowing a constitutional process to play out and having them use their legal authority to process and execute a presidential election is not undemocratic compared to having some electors pass some new, or having some election officials rather, pass some new regulations during a presidential election to change the way that people vote and then having that vote be certified. The word democratic is much broader than we're describing here. And frankly, it's even sort of secondary to the question of the legal process established by the Constitution. All of that said, I do not want to get people's hopes up here. I said yesterday that the fat lady has not sung yet, but you can hear her warming up. You can hear her in the far distance, clearing her throat, going up and down her scales. This lawsuit from Texas is the last stand. It just is a matter of time. There isn't time left. The electors are going to vote in a matter of days. So this is it. Even if there were some magnificent other lawsuit that were being prepared that had heaping helpings of Kraken in it, there isn't time for it anymore. And nobody's going to care how explosive it is. I keep going back to the example of Lyndon Johnson, who stole a 1948 Senate election. And we know it with certainty as of, say, 1990. But, okay, I guess that's a moral victory for conservatives. Meanwhile, Johnson had already left the Senate, left the vice presidency, left the presidency, and died. Okay, we got him. We got him. No, he already had his effect. I don't have any confidence in the Supreme Court that they will rule properly on this case, and I don't have any confidence in the Supreme Court that they'll even take it up. I think the other day when they shot down the Pennsylvania appeal, which Senator Cruz was going to argue before the court, some people are saying, well, they shot that down because it would have been redundant. They were waiting for the Texas lawsuit. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think regardless of what, maybe they hear the case, probably they don't, but even if they do, I just don't think they're going to weigh in on behalf of Trump and on behalf of people who feel that this election was held in an irregular way, which is incontrovertible, no matter what YouTube wants to say about it. So this is the stand. I'm really pleased that Texas is doing this. I'm very pleased that my new state of Tennessee is doing this. You know, all my exes live in Texas, which is why I hang my hat in Tennessee. But both states doing great work, as are those other states that are signing on, and the Trump campaign.